Yes, all right. This tradition that we practice called libation, popularly called that, is practiced all over the continent of Africa. Speak the name of our ancestors and pour this water to signify our pure understanding of what they did in our devotion to continue to do what we're doing to benefit our people. And so I would make a statement, pour the water, and everybody would say, Ashe, all right? Together. So there's a deep appreciation and deep concentration and dedication that we remember the works of our ancestors on this day. For all of our ancestors who built the first villages, who taught each other how to fish and hunt and grow crops, for those organizers in Africa, for those organizers of civilization, we pour this libation. For all of our ancestors who built the great Nile Valley civilizations, for Imhotep, for Hatshepsut, for Pianki, for Shabaka, for all those ancestors that created the pyramids and medicine and law and ethics, who raised up the standard of Ma'at in the Nile Valley. And so fitting we do that here in the Center for Inner City Studies, which has become the African center of that study. For all those ancestors, those great ancestors of the Nile Valley, before this lecture. For ancestors in West Africa, in Central Africa, South Africa, all those ancestors that raised the kingdoms of Ghana, Mali, Songhai, Congo, Great Zimbabwe, for all those ancestors, known and unknown, who contributed to our glory as a people, and for those individual men and women who organized their neighbors for this greatness, we pour this libation. For all of our ancestors who faced our enemies and fought for our ancestral home, for those ancestors who organized, for those men and women who called their neighbors, who organized their neighbors, those neighbors that heard the drums and gathered to defend themselves against alien invaders, for Yah Shantiwa, for Nzinga, for Aspianu, for Bambaataa, for Mosheshwe, for all those African ancestors known and unknown before this libation. For our ancestors who resisted our enslavement, who fought in the barricades, who fought on the boat, who bit the slave, who kicked him, who tried to poison, who jumped overboard. For all those ancestors who endured the middle passage in these shores, we pour this libation. For all of our ancestors who on these shores resisted oppression. For those men and women who involved in the Haitian Revolution. For Toussaint, for Ekendon, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, and all those ancestors who resisted. For Queen Mary, Bottom Belly, and Hellfire Burn in the Virgin Islands, who resisted. For all those ancestors that poisoned the master, which out the window, refused to work, had to slow down, who organized the black kingdoms of Palmares in the woods and in the jungle, for those who formed fort, the Negro fort they call it in Florida. For all those ancestors, we pour this libation. For Harriet Tubman, who organized her relatives first and took them to freedom. For Martin Delaney, organized in every city in the then United States, black men, to take back our liberty. For Booker T. Washington, For Ida B. Wells, George Washington Carver, somebody's called out. And you can help me have these names. Denmark Vesey, Gabriel Crosby, Nat Turner. Oh, yes, and we won't forget him. And for all the ancestors in the 19th century who held up our people, tried to gather them together and heal the wounds of enslavement and to build black communities in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Rosewood, and Brooklyn, Illinois, of all places, and all over the United States before this libation. For the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, who organized 400 million black people worldwide before this libation. For Malcolm X, whose reasoning and direction inspired a generation before this libation. For our ancestors in this city, who did so much to organize black communities. For Luke and Georgia Palmer before this libation. For those who worked, for Harold Washington himself, for those who worked on his campaign before this libation. All the formations that were organized, like the Task Force of Black Political Empowerment, National Black United Front, Institute of Positive Education, Catalyst, and you name some more. There are more black organizations. African Liberation Support Committee. That's right. For all those organizations that were organized, for Anderson Thompson, they had at least 12 of those organizations in his briefcase. For Dr. Jacob Carruthers. For Dr. Bobby E. Wright. Leon Harris. That's right. For the Comedic Institute here. And all the ancestors, we should name them. There's so many, I can't remember all of them.
Hannibal Towers are free.
Hannibal Towers are free. Abba Joan Brown. All of these great ancestors. Okoro Harold Johnson. Charlie McIntyre, right, with the African Heritage Studies Association. Right, Nancy Jefferson, Willie Barrow, Little Warrior. Yeah. For these ancestors who organized every community in Chicago to liberate our people, to give us a higher level of human life before this libation. For all of our ancestors, known and unknown, our parents, our leaders, our teachers, and you should name them now. My parents. Yeah. For all of those, known and unknown, who helped raise us up, who opened our eyes, who gave us the direction before this libation. And for the children of the future, those who remember the work of our latest ancestor, Dr. Conrad Worrill, who was raised by his parents, Walter and Annabelle Worrill, in Pasadena, California, of all places, who came to Chicago. And for Conrad, who walked the streets of Chicago, who knew the people of Chicago, who went into the homes of Chicago, the bars, the meetings, for his great heart, his great strength, and his great organizing before this last libation.
In the African tradition, whenever you go to somebody's house, you bring a gift. Down south, they bring a pie, or they bring some biscuits. Well, I don't know how to cook. But because this is a high, holy African service, I want to present to the Worrill family. I'm one of the biblical scholars for the original African Heritage Bible, where we look at the Bible from African eyes. You know, we have enough information now, because of Dr. Conrad, Worrill, and other scholars. We have enough information that Moses was not Charleston Heston. Elizabeth Taylor wasn't the Queen of Sheba. And Jesus wasn't born in Europe with blonde hair and blue eyes. He was born in the little town of Bethlehem, which is in northeast Africa, upstream from Ethiopia, around the corner from Egypt. So under the African tradition, I present this book. And inside the book is my signature, because I'm one of the scholars. And it's a simple story where Love Stars said, call Conrad. And I called Conrad and said, Conrad, I love you. And he said back to me, Reverend Sampson, I love you too. I present this gift. And we bow our heads. Good morning, God. Please forgive some of us who woke up this morning and didn't give you the honor and the praise. Forgive us if we didn't say good morning to you, making it possible for us to have our eyes to see, feet to walk, hands to touch, mind to think. We say good morning to you, God, because you've given us the gift that we're sending back to you on a special flight, because you touched each and every one of our lives individually and collectively. God, in the midst of our tears, in the midst of our pain, inside the depth of our memories, we want to thank you for Dr. Conrad Worrill. Thank you for allowing him to come in the midst of us. Show us the roadmap of liberation with his demonstration. Show us the road to reparations with his observation. And we ask, oh God, that we continue to run and not get weary, walk and not faint, and never forget the words of this great man. Thank you, Conrad. We love you, Conrad. You will always be our Father. In the name of the God of our ancestors, we pray. Amen.
Would everyone that is able please stand and join me in the singing of our national anthem?
Lift every voice and sing till the heaven ring. Ring is our harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the living tide. Let it down like the rolling sea. Sing a song for the princess of God. Sing a song for the most and perfect God. They sing the rising sun of our day. Let us march on till victory is won. Still be the road we stop, and the testing on. Till the day home and God, yet with the day.
Dr. Conrad Worrill wanted me to know, as I spent several very precious moments with him as his life was dim, that he was a Pan-African revolutionary nationalist until the end. And those principles, practices, and values, and ideas of Pan-African revolutionary nationalism are embedded in the symbol of the red, black, and green flag. And Dr. Worrill wore up until the end a wristband, red, black, and green, that says, "I'm a guardian." Didn't take it off throughout his illness because he, again, lived the principles and practices of Pan-African nationalism. Again, that John Marcus was our guardian, symbolized in the flag that he gave to us. And right now, I'd like to ask everyone to stand as we pay tribute to both the red, black, and green. I'll ask you to put up a strong black fist and repeat after me. Here's to this flag of mine. The red, black, and green. Hopes in its future bright. Africa has seen. Here's to the red of it. Great nations shall know of it. In times to come. Red blood shall flow of it. Great flag of mine. Here's to the black of it. Over 1 billion back of it. His destiny depends on it. The red flag. Young men shall dream of it. Face shot and shells of it. Ladies shall sing of it. Waving so high. Here's to the whole of it. Colors brought in whole of it. Please is my soul with it. Regardless of what is told of it. Thanks to God for giving it. Great bag of mine.
Good morning. Good morning. I have not had the pleasure of meeting most of you, but we do have one thing in common, and that's Dr. Conrad Worrill. My name is Lucas Calhoun, and I first met Conrad back in 1954. We were freshmen in Hyde Park High School. And Conrad pursued every sport that was available. He played football, basketball, he ran track, and he played a little baseball as well. Whereas I tried to concentrate on one sport, which was basketball. So we played 3.5 months together each year, trying to achieve the same goal, winning basketball games. And I didn't understand at that time why he pursued so many different sports. But later I found out that his father was a very good friend of Jackie Robinson. And whether you know it or not, Jackie Robinson not only played baseball, but he played basketball as well as football. And Conrad wanted to emulate his idol. So over the years, we've had a nice relationship. The last few months of his life, we spoke at least once every day. And his body was getting weak. He He labored to walk, had trouble getting up and down the stairs. And he had trouble getting in and out of my car because I would take him wherever we went together. And he said he wasn't ready to go home. He wanted to fight this illness. But the good Lord had another plan. It was his will, not Conrad's will. And he said, you have run a good race. You have fought a good fight. It's time for you to come home. A place where there is no more sickness, there's no more death, no more sin. You don't have to fight for racial equality anymore because everything is in order in heaven. And I have no problems. I will miss him, but I know deep down in my heart, without a doubt, he's in a better place. So to the family that may be weakened, I would say dry your eyes because Conrad is doing fine. There is no death. He has a brand new body and it will never get old. So saying that, I will say a prayer. Heavenly Father, we do love you, we honor you, and we glorify your precious name. We thank you for your continued mercy and grace. Thank you for bringing us this far. We know it's not our goodness and kindness, but your mercy and your grace that has sustained us. We pray and ask for forgiveness of our sins, for we know we all have sinned and come short of your glory. But we pray, dear Lord, that you will strengthen us when we're weak, that we will grow stronger in your word and in your will. We pray the Jabez prayer that you bless us indeed, and indeed we shall be a blessing, that you will enlarge our territory, that your hands will be upon us, and that you will keep us from all evil. And I pray that we cause no one no pain. And we're praying for the body of Christ, for unity, discipline, and obedience. Praying for those that preach and teach your word, that they are being led by the Holy Spirit. And Heavenly Father, we pray that we're the solution and not part of the problem. One thing that I know, that love is no good until you give it away. When you give it away, the power of love is activated. So saints, we need to be more loving, try and do good whenever we can. We need to turn our lights up bright so those that are walking in the darkness will see your marvelous light. Heavenly Father, have mercy upon us on these dark days that we are experiencing. Direct our path and guide our footsteps. Pray that your will be done, not our will. And we ask all blessings in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Good morning. This is very, very tough for me, and it's very deep because I've shared the stage with Dr. Worrill many times on many projects. And the preparers of the body clearly must know it. Because as I remarked to some, he is positioned in the posture that he is known to have when somebody is taking up too much time. Or when he feels the need to make, as he would say, an anthem. Conrad Walter Worrill was born on August 15, 1941 in Pasadena, California. to Walter and Annabelle Worrill. Although Conrad was an only child for many years, he finally received the gift that he'd been waiting for of his young brother, Oscar Worrill, who came several years later. Conrad's mother, Annabelle, was the first Black person to sing in the Pasadena Philharmonic Orchestra, and his father was active in the NAACP and a director in the YMCA. Conrad's father played a large role in influencing Worrill to become an activist. Conrad found moved to Chicago when he was 9, as his father assumed the role as the head of the Wabash YMCA in the heart of the area known as Brunswick. As one might expect, Conrad became a serious athlete, excelling in track and field, football, swimming, basketball, and apparently baseball. He told me that, I thought he was marching. But baseball as well. Conrad's got in his story. Conrad was initially awakened to the issues of white supremacy that plagued our society when the swim team faced tackling by a white team. Despite racial harshness, pursued football, basketball, track, and baseball at Hyde Park High School. In 1962, Conrad was drafted into the Army and stationed in Okinawa, Japan. While abroad, he read much about African history, Black history, culture, and politics. And like many of his generation, became inspired by the Civil Rights Movement and the Black Power movements that were in process. This spark was largely lit through the newspaper clippings that his father would send him while he was stationed in the Army overseas, and by him seeing the many Black men being drafted into the Army. Upon being discharged, Conrad briefly enrolled in Pasadena Junior College and then ultimately enrolled in George Williams College, majoring in applied behavioral sciences and immersed himself in the Black Power movement after he and his father watched Malcolm X out-debate someone on national TV. While at George Williams College, he and others successfully took over an administration building as a student activist. And upon being confronted by the administration with, "What do you want?" Conrad didn't have an answer, and later called an elder and asked for advice from the administration building's phone. He learned an early lesson in what he would call organizing. Additionally, he became an expert in the delivery of social, I'm jumping ahead. After graduating, Conrad became a program director at the Sears YMCA on the west side of Chicago, acquired a master's degree from the University of Chicago, and then a PhD from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Dr. Worrill's major field of study was Black political and movement history, social theory, curriculum, and instruction. Additionally, he became an expert in the delivery of social and educational services in the Black community and wanted to help students understand the relationship between institutions, power, and the building of institutions for Black people. Upon receiving his PhD from the University of Wisconsin, Dr. Worrill taught for 2 years at George Williams College, and in 1975 joined the faculty of the Center for Inner City Studies at Northeastern Illinois University, this very building, where he was mentored as a scholar activist by names that were mentioned earlier in this program, legendary faculty members such as Jacob Hudson Carruthers and Dr. Anderson Thompson, as well as being mentored by Dr. Bobby Wright, to name a few. Conrad later served as director of the Center for Inner City Studies for several years until his retirement in 2016, and thus, over a 40-year career in education, he taught, influenced, and mentored thousands of past, current teachers, scholars, social workers, administrators, activists, and then some in inner city education. For over 50 years, Dr. Worrill has been a prolific activist organizing and institution builder in the Black Power, political, and human rights movements. Conrad Worrill's activism has been defined by his leadership in organizations and activities that have been at the forefront of social and racial justice, African-centered education, African liberation, and self-determination for people of African descent. Dr. Worrill was a founding member and key organizer of the formation that ultimately became the National Black United Front, NBUF, and served as the national chairman of NLUF for 26 years and later as chairman emeritus. Through his leadership, NLUF was engaged in numerous national and international projects, including the Free South Africa movement, the creation of NLUF World African Education Plan, the organizing of annual citywide Kwanzaa celebrations, and the promotion of the idea of what is of Kwanzaa, the annual African Liberation Day parades on the west side of Chicago, the fight to free Black political prisoners in America, and much, much more. In 1982, Conrad was recruited by then Congressman Harold Washington to be the street organizer for the campaign that ultimately led to the election of Chicago's first Black mayor in 1983. Conrad later became the special consultant for field operations for the historic Million Man March in October of 1995, and was a key centerpiece in organizing the multiple tributaries of Black humanity that descended upon Washington, D.C. In 1996, upon discovering the expose that CIA was complicit in the distribution of crack cocaine in Black communities, Dr. Worrill's leadership within both led to the amassing of 157,000 signatures on a petition accusing the United States government of genocide. And he traveled with a small cadre to Geneva, Switzerland in 1997 to present the petitions to the Commission on Human Rights and the United Nations. Dr. Worrill later published a pamphlet, We Charge Genocide, which captures a detailed review of this historic project. One of Dr. Worrill's signature organizing projects was his leadership as the national chairman of NLUF, along with the December 12th Movement International Secretariat, in organizing the Durban 400. 400 Black people who traveled to the historic United Nations World Conference Against Racism, held in Durban, South Africa from August 31st to September 7th, 2001. With the focus mission of this project being to lobby the nations of the world to declare that the transatlantic slave trade, slavery, and colonialism were crimes against humanity, that the roots of racism are economic, and thus reparations are due to people of African descent around the world. This was a major international organizing victory for African people. Soon following, Dr. Worrill and others served as key organizers of the historic Millions for Reparations rally in August 2002, where nearly 100,000 people descended upon Washington, D.C. to demand reparations. Dr. Worrill is a founding member of the Kemetic Institute, the Temple of the African Community of Chicago, the Association for the Study of Classical African Civilizations, ASCAP, and the Community. He was a longtime member of the National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America, NCOBA, a member of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities, and the Association of African Historians, as well as an affiliate, supporter, and advisor to many organizations across the nation and the world. Dr. Worrill was also a longtime board member of the Black United Fund of Illinois, and was a board member, key organizer, fundraiser, and hands-on leader and advisor until his transition to being an ancestor. Despite all of his work in education, activism, and organizing, Conrad Worrill remained a sports enthusiast and was passionate about the relationship of athletics to the academic achievement, character building, life preparation for young people to become parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, brothers, and sisters. He was a chronicler of the history of the origin of the game of basketball and the historical and evolutionary role of Black people in the development of the game. One of Dr. Worrill's greatest passions was the sport of track and field. In his work with the Friends of Track and Field, whose mission is to help revitalize track and field in the Chicago public schools, and through his 37 years of organizing and lobbying, the fruits of his labor finally culminated in a soon-to-open state-of-the-art 139,000 square foot indoor track and field stadium in the Black community of Chicago. Dr. Worrill has repeatedly indicated that this is perhaps the accomplishment he is most proud of in his life. And as he would perhaps say, y'all know that Jackie Robinson, Big Brother, is my goddaddy. From 1983 until, I'm going to go over this because he's pulling my coattail already, I feel it. From 1983 until he made his transition, Dr. Worrill religiously wrote a weekly syndicated column called Worrill's World, that appears in major African American newspapers around the country, and his writings have appeared in numerous publications in the United States and around the world. He has often been a guest on many radio and television talk shows throughout the country and is a feature on the History Makers, the nation's largest African American video oral history collection. For over 10 years, Dr. Worrill was a radio talk show host on Chicago's WVOM radio and was frequently invited in as special guest to provide leadership and expert commentary on the issues of the day that affect our people, all the way through into this transition. As he would say, and conclusion. No mere 8-minute bio can effectively describe the achievements, the influence, and the impact of such a great and historical figure. Nor does it speak to his great personal sacrifice, one that very few have been willing to make in our history. Whether it be in an lecture hall, Geneva, Switzerland, Durban, South Africa, on the streets with a megaphone, leading the African Liberation Day parade in the classroom, or as he would say, in the back room. He was omnipresent in our struggle. As we might say, this bio is merely a thumbnail sketch. We have some very large shoes to fill in deep. Dr. Worrill was a husband to Arlena, Mama to Leva Worrill, father to Michelle Lanier, Femi Skanes, Sylvina Worrill and Aisha King, and a father-in-law to Chris Skanes and Raymond Lanier. He is the grandfather to Mikhail Lewis, Matthew Lewis, Marielle Lewis, Imani Spearman, Kaval Spearman Jr., Julian Lanier, Chris Gaines Jr., and Legacy King Davis. He is also the beloved brother to Oscar Worrill and brother-in-law to Denise Worrill. He also has a host of cousins and godchildren, all of whom love him dearly. Dr. Worrill is a warrior that will be surely missed around the world. This family is Dr. Conrad Worrill.
I'm Michelle, the oldest of Conrad's daughter. I was born in 1966, just before Dad started working on this movie. I know most of you don't know me well. I spent most of my life in a different place. I didn't really grow up with my father. For a long time, I wasn't clear on who I was, or who he was, or how we were really connected. But as a grown woman, I've had a chance to think about him and our connection. And I know for sure Conrad was my dad. I realize for all of you, he's a leader and an activist, he's a fighter and a legend in the movement. But I want you to know what he means to me as a father. When I look in the mirror, I can see him there. I see him in my love for sports, especially track and field. He gave me my athletic gene. He squeezed in time to see me play and coach. One of my fondest memories was last spring when he came to watch me coach and win track and field state championship in Georgia. And in his true fashion, He gave all the credit to himself. In the spirit of the elders that he brought to Georgia with him. Just like my dad, I never walk away from a good fight. He was a fierce fighter for his convictions, and I like to think that I am too. One other thing, admittedly, like him, I curse like a sailor. And I'm sure many of you have been on the receiving end of some of his choice words. I can hear him right now, getting someone straight, telling my husband or the kids about themselves and how they need to get it together. Just like him, I have spent most of my life teaching and working to give back to the youth in our community. He and my mother both gave me the desire to educate. It was 2 years ago, my father and I reconnected in a very meaningful way. And I thank God for giving us just enough time. Through Conrad, my life is blessed with two amazing, strong women, my sisters. I see them people together and through our children, who are the future. We will honor Dad and uplift his memory to carry on his greatness. Before he passed, he wanted me to come see his track. I never got a chance, but I promise I will. I'm going to miss you, Dr. Conrad. I love you.
So very much like my father, talking is something that's always come very naturally to me. But in this season of my life, I found myself struggling to find the words that would be significant and special enough to honor my dad. And without a doubt, my father's legacy speaks for itself. I could spend a lot of time providing a long biographical and historical sketch of all of his life's accolades. However, I find it most fitting today not to speak about Dr. Conrad Worrill, but I would rather speak to you about my dad. And at most final life celebrations, speakers usually highlight all of the nice characteristics of their loved one. But this just would not be fitting for my dad. And if you're sitting in this room or if you're listening virtually, then you know that my dad was a handful. My daddy was a handful. And he had absolutely no problem letting you know what he was thinking. He stood his ground about what he believed in, and he talked in a way that demanded attention from the audience. He had a special knack for captivating people and for getting them to think critically about the important matters related to the Pan-African community. When my dad spoke, people listened. And he had a special way of educating people through the art of storytelling. In my opinion, some of the stories about his high school athletic days were embellished. And I told him that quite often. And then he would just move on to the next story of his great days at Hyde Park High School. And if you've ever spoken to my dad for more than 30 seconds, you've been asked a series of questions. What high school did you go to? What college did you go to? Who are your parents? When I was younger, I thought he asked these questions to be nosy. But then as I got older, I realized that as a master historian, scholar, and strategist, my dad used this information as part of the historical archives that he stored in his brain. I was amazed at his aptitude for dates, times, and places. But more amazingly, he always seemed to know somebody once you answered all of these questions for him. The man knew everybody. And I do mean everybody. And while many people were impressed with his extreme levels of intellect, at times it would just be too much. There were times when I would call him and I would preface the conversation with, "Dad, I have a question, but I do not want a dissertation. So please just give me a brief answer." And he would say, "Well, Femi, why would you call me then if you didn't have time to listen?" And then we would argue because, well, we love to argue with each other. And that's just how we love each other. And I would say, "Dad, just give me the answer, please." And he would comply. But within 2 days, he would call me back and he would still give me the dissertation length answer to my original question. He was going to get his way, and that was just that. My dad was not much of a traditional gift giver. He didn't have time for what he would say, white folks stuff like that. But he used his gift of words to express his love for me. When I graduated from Tennessee State University, he dedicated a writing to me in his weekly column. When I earned a doctorate, which is the day that I believe probably made him the most proud of me, he came to my house with a letter. And he told me that he knew that the dissertation committee thought that they had granted me the rights to be called a doctor. But it was not official until he came over and made it so. Because as we know, my dad was quick to tell you he was running the show. But in his letter to me, he wrote, "From what I have observed, you have all of the intellect, skills, compassion, and dedication to continue providing the highest level of educational opportunities for those young people at our rating." He went on to write, "Always remember that we use these credentials that we obtain to not only further our individual career objectives, but to aid in the upliftment of our people." That's exactly what I plan to do in his honor, aid and uplift the people. Of all of the compliments that my dad ever gave me, I think the day that he called me up and he said, "Femi, I want you to know that I think that you are a dynamic administrator in your own right, but I really think that you are a really amazing mother. I'm proud of you." Those are the words that will forever stay etched in my mind. I guess I never realized that he even took notice to these things, but that's how my dad was. He was very observant and he took notice to everything. And he would act like he wasn't paying you any attention, But then he would call up people all around the world and brag on you. I would bump into people that I didn't even know, but they would say that my dad told them stories about me and about my sisters. And they would ask questions like, now are you the dancer? Are you the one that plays basketball? And I would say, no, I'm just the one. Oh, we know your dad told us all about you. He didn't mind bragging about his children and grandchildren to anyone who gave him 2 seconds of time. As we approach the final chapter of his life, he and I spent a lot of time talking about a lot of things. But one thing that I know for sure is that my dad loved his people. My dad loved Black people.
That's right.
He loved his family.
That's right.
He loved Toledo.
Yes.
He loved the community.
Yes.
He loved sports. My dad believed in education. And my dad expected me to continue to be an educational leader and trailblazer. And without a doubt, he would want me to continue to fight the good fight for children. And Dad, I won't let you down. The community depended on you for over 50 years, and I believe that you're now passing a torch to me to continue to educate and enlighten young people. But most of all, my dad will want me to stay in the struggle for our people. The world needs warriors like Dr. Conrad Worrill. So Dad, I promise you that I, Femi Sophia Worrill Skanes, will continue to serve as a warrior for our people. And last, but certainly not least, my dad loved his alma mater, Hyde Park High School. In his honor, I promise to personally give a scholarship to a graduating senior at Hyde Park High School every single year, starting with the graduating class of 2020. Dad, you fought the good fight. You finished the race strong. And now you have taken your rightful place with all of the ancestors who've gone before you. Until we meet again, I love you, Dad.
First, giving praise to Almighty God. Maker, the owner, and creator of all of us here today. I stand before you representing the Worrill family name, giving honor to our grandparents, Conrad and Mary Worrill, who my brother, Conrad, was named after. Giving honor to our parents, Walter and Amber Worrill, who raised my brother, Conrad, and Oscar Worrill. And giving honor to his wife, I love you today, and your daughter Aisha. I love you, Michelle, your husband, your children. Conrad's first daughter, Michelle. Conrad's daughter, Fee. Love you, Fee, your children, your husband. I love Sabrina, his third daughter, and all that she represents in the cultural spirit of our people. I love my wife here, Denise Worrill. I want to thank the cousins of the Worrill family, Casa, Regina and her husband, Omar, for being here representing the California clan of the Worrill family. And I stand before you as the last living male of the Worrill family on my daddy's side, Walter Fleming Worrill. And the most important organization today is the Worrill organization. After all is said and done, my brother led a lot of movements. Conrad led a lot of organizations. He helped start the National Black United Front. And even before then, leading in the political path and telling the first African-American male leader in Chicago in the name of Harold Washington what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. I'm telling you, I bear witness that my brother, Dr. Conrad Worrill, was a master organizer. Not only was he a master organizer, he was a master teacher. Though I rebel, I stand here and bear witness that my dear brother, Dr. Conrad Worrill, has given me the light and the hope and the inspiration and the motivation to keep the Worrill tradition alive. I shed my tears in my brother's bedroom, but today I have to smile and give myself the inner strength to lay my brother, Dr. Conrad Worrill, to rest. He's done his job. That's right. He was tired. And he said each and every day that I walk back there into his room, I love you, Oscar. I love you, Oscar. I love you, Michelle. I love you, Phoebe. I love you, Sabrina. I love you, Talia. My brother had so much love for his his family that he is not resting in a good place, knowing that he has left a tradition of the Worrill family that we as a family are going to continue to provide for our people and stand on love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Thank you very much.
Hotel. Black power.
Black power.
Black power.
Black power.
Black power. I'm Maui Davis. I'm here from Atlanta, and I bring the family condolences from the Atlanta branch of the movement, of the Black liberation movement, of the New African Freedom Movement. Our comrades in Georgia, one of our elders, Akiyela Moja, who couldn't be here, from the Malcolm X grassroots movement and the New African Freedom Movement, from our brother Derek Rice from Sankofa United Church of Christ, from all of the organizers in the deep, dirty South. We bring you all our deepest condolences and know that Baba influenced and impacted us all over the world, but particularly in Georgia and in the South. So we just want to bring our condolences. I want to bring condolences from my family, my wife Jana, my sons, Conrad, in many ways, ironically served as our marriage counselor. He was always there. I know everybody was surprised, like, really? He was always talking us through and talking me through, making decisions. Because as much as he believed in the movement and the work of the movement, he just wanted to make sure that our family stayed together. And so he just kept pushing us in that way, because he knew that the power is in the family. As Brother Oscar just described, the first organization of resistance is the Black family. And that's why he just meant, you all meant so much to him. He would brag and brag and brag about you all. I also wanted to bring a special thank you for my father, Mel Davis, who Conrad would tell the story of how he was a freshman at Hyde Park and my father was a senior at Dunbar, and Dunbar beat Hyde Park and broke his heart. He said he was in the locker room crying, but my father wanted to say thank you for allowing Conrad to serve as a father to me. Because a good parent knows what all they can give. And then they find other people that can help their child keep going. And that's what Conrad did for me. Of course, I'm speaking on behalf of the God's sons and daughters, which are plentiful. And you all know he discovered all of us. Y'all know that, right? I discovered that in Negro when he was in the Navy, and he discovered us. But in a real way, he did discover us. He grabbed a hold of us. He pulled us out of our Eurocentric thinking and behavior, and he gave us solid African footing to stand on.
to become the people that we are. So you see his legacy all over the Pan-African Black Nationalist movement because he gave us here. Here's Jacob Carruthers. Here's Andy Thompson. Here's the Connect Institute. Here's ASCAP. Here's IMBO. He gave us this solid footing. And because of that, we stand tall. And we stand in his tradition. And so his work continues through all of us. And it will continue. And we will be victorious. And I just think of it, and I'm going to get out of the way, I think of him as a coach. Coach Michelle, Coach Ray. I mean, he was a coach, right? He was that coach. You can just imagine that coach running up and down the sidelines, yelling at his players. Get in position. Get ready. He was always teaching because that's what good coaches do. He kept teaching and teaching. I mean, the last phone call we had, he was teaching. All right, brother, here's what we need. Here's what we need y'all to be. And he was teaching. But then as a coach, most of y'all have experienced he also would give you a good cussing out. I mean, a good one. And Jada was like, who is that? I was like, that's about Conrad. Said, oh, okay. She just go in the other room, let me finish up on him. But he get you right. But then the master organizer in him, and he was the greatest organizer I've ever met. The master organizer in him, he would always get his players in the right position to be successful. That's a skill. He'd identify, he said, okay, I see you can do this. You need to be right here. And then you be here, and then this helps the team win. And so he was just coaching us towards liberation, coaching us towards reparations, coaching us towards African-centered education, just coaching and coaching with all his heart and hugging us up when we were in Indaba down in Atlanta, and hugging us up when we were in Durban, South Africa, and hugging us up every time he could gather us up. He'd get us in love. And the things that he would give us are things that only somebody that loved you deeply, and a good coach wasn't just concerned about what you were doing on the court in terms of in this liberation struggle. He'd ask, how's your mama? How your daddy doing? Because he loved us. He loved so many people. It's amazing to imagine that much love in a person, to love so many people, and to make, as good parents do, every godson, every goddaughter, every child feel special. He made us all feel special because he had that gift. And so I just would think in my revolutionary imagination as I think about him hugging us, I think of him saying, that our struggle continues and we will be victorious without a doubt. I just imagine him hugging us up and making it clear to us that victory for Pan-African Black nationalists, for our people who haven't been able to breathe, who haven't been able to walk while black, who haven't been able to shop while black, cry while black, I believe in my spirit that he would huddle us up and tell us that we will win without a doubt. That is what he believed from the day I met him, and he discovered me and rescued me, until his final conversation was his deep faith and belief in our ultimate victory as a people. And so we say, long live the spirit of Baba Conrad Worrill. Long live the spirit of Baba Conrad Worrill. Long live the spirit of Baba Conrad Worrill. I say, oh.
red, the black, and the green. The white to go, pick up, and I see. We on our way to be
Good morning, everyone. Freedom, as family. You know, it has been said by smarter people than myself that every man ever born spends his life approaching his death. It is a hard path to approach alone. It is an easier road to walk when with good company. Dr. Conrad Worrill walked with many in good company. Dr. Worrill, as pointed out by so many of the previous speakers, he walked with the greats and the not so great. He walked with John Carlos, he walked with Angela Davis and Ida B. Wells, and of course we mentioned that with Jacob Carruthers. But you know, someone, when we get a little time, let me tell you about the story with John Coltrane. You know, Dr. Conrad Worrill was our great. He was our storyteller. Yeah. In his age of awakening, he was our alarm clock. It was him that put us on notice, told us his stories that he was always somehow or another involved in. He was our brother. And there's been so many in this trying time that wanted to give their love and their regards to the people, to the world. One thing is, for those who thought maybe that they'd get the last word, well, I guess they didn't really know Conrad, because there's no such thing as you ever getting the last word. He will have that. So on behalf of the family, I'm sharing some of the thoughts of individuals from around the world that have sent their blessings to the family and their thanks for Dr. Conrad Worrill. From National Black United Front, we come before you today guided by the ancient kinetic principles of might: truth, justice, righteousness, harmony, balance, reciprocity, and order. Further, it is great confidence in our African spiritual traditions, specifically ancestral veneration, as the correct path forward during this challenging and inspiring time. We are assured our brother Conrad's spirit will join the line of divine of African freedom fighters in the ancestral realm. And Hotep and Black Power. Whereas our chairman emeritus, Dr. Conrad Worrill, made his transition to the realm of the holy African ancestors on June 3rd, 2020. Whereas we hold the highest regard and respect of his biological family, wife Tulita Worrill, daughters Michelle, Feeney, Sabina, Kimberly, Asia King, brother Oscar Worrill, grandchildren and extended family. And whereas Dr. Conrad Worrill of Pasadena, California, and Chicago, Illinois, was a founding member of the National Black United Front in Brooklyn, New York, 1980. And whereas Dr. Worrill served in various local and national capacities, including National Secretary and as National Chairman from 1985 to 2009. And whereas Dr. Worrill was the in-buff ideological family for over 40 years and was a contemporary mentor, surrogate father, sage elder, and our brother and leader, and our servant. Dr. Worrill's contributions to in-buff are too expansive to fully capture. They include leadership and collective engagement in the following areas: the Free South Africa movement, the New Jewel movement, the African-centered World Education Plan, the Million Man March, the We Change Genocide campaign against the U.S. government, the demand for a full and complete reparations, the Durban 400, and the delegation of the World Conference Against Racism, support for political prisoners of war and various political campaigns. Therefore, be it resolved, we shall incorporate his name to the Inbucks and Kofa Caravan to the Ancestors' annual pilgrimage through Galveston, Texas, for perpetuity. Therefore, be it resolved, we shall name a room in his honor at both our Houston and Kansas City facilities. Therefore, be it resolved, we shall increase our national awards from the current Maurice Bishop Pan-African Heroes and Heroines Award to additionally include the Dr. Conrad Worrill Self-Determination Award. Rest assured, Chairman Emeritus Worrill unmatched contributions to our organization will be immortalized in numerous ways in the future. Respectfully submitted, and Black Power, forward forever, backwards never. Officers and the members of the National Black Front. In loving memory to Brother Dr. Conrad Worrill. Whereas, in the loving memory of Dr. Worrill, who graced this world as a husband, father, brother, friend, and warrior in the fight for freedom and social justice, dedicated son of Chicago, and devoted servant of God, we humbly bow to in submission to God's will, and that one of his children is now at peace and rest. His soul is gone to God, and earth has claimed its own. Be it resolved that the National Black United Fund stands readily and willing to offer comfort and support to surviving members of the Worrill family, who intimately feel the pain and grief from the loss of a loving husband, father, grandfather, and have committed ourselves to continue the struggle for freedom and dignity for all members of the African American community in his memory, in spirit and joy of togetherness and unity, the National Black United Fund. Buffy's statement on the death of Dr. Conrad Worrill. Black United Fund of Illinois, along with many across the globe, are remembering and celebrating the life of prominent historian and international scholar, Dr. Conrad Walter Worrill. Whereas on June 3rd, 2020, Dr. Worrill lost his battle against cancer. Iris Dunmore, a registered confidant of Dr. Worrill's, expressed, "Conrad was my longtime friend and confidant. His knowledge was vast, and he never wavered in his love of Black people. He was never self-serving and always willing to serve. I will miss him tremendously. May your soul rest in peace and in the spirit. May your spirit live on." Ashe. The Samuel DeWitt Proctor Conference Incorporation. Dr. Conrad Walter Worrill. Inasmuch as Dr. Worrill, known as Baba, which means father to many, and who was a beloved leader, activist, and voice for justice for people of African descent around the world, has joined the company of the ancestors. And inasmuch that Dr. Worrill was a fierce believer in the needs for righteous indignation against systemic racism and all injustices which has created. And inasmuch as Dr. Conrad Worrill believed in the power of history and ancestral legacy, both of which he used to guide him in his activism and organizing in Chicago, the United States, and around the world. And inasmuch as Dr. Worrill was a commissioner and administrative custodian of the Illinois Transatlantic Slave Trade Commission, and inasmuch as Dr. Worrill was a visionary and organizer who led the drive for a track and field stadium to be built on Chicago's South Side, and inasmuch as Dr. Worrill was the chairman emeritus of the Black United Front and a board member and sustainer of the Black United Fund of Illinois, and inasmuch as Dr. Worrill was a co-organizer of the Million Man March in 1995, and inasmuch as Dr. Worrill was a friend, brother, confidant of the Reverend Dr. Carruthers and of Dr. Jeremiah Wright Jr., General Secretary and co-founder of the Samuel DeWitt Proctor Conference Incorporated, respectively. And inasmuch as Dr. Worrill was an advocate for and advisor to the SDPC, cutting the pathway to make it possible for the SDPC to be housed in the historic Brownsville office, which the organization now occupies. Be it resolved that the SDPC recognizes the enormous contributions that Dr. Worrill has made in the city of Chicago, the state of Illinois, and the United States of the world. And be it resolved that the SDPC acknowledges that the work done by Dr. Worrill has made an indelible mark on its ministry and will continue to influence all of that the SDPC endeavors to do in the work for the liberation of Black people in this country and around the world. And be it resolved that Dr. Worrill has left us the footprints of one who never gave up and who will now orchestrate our comings and goings with God in the council of ancestors. And be it finally resolved that a copy of this resolution will be given to the family in another place in the archives of the Samuel DeWitt Proctor Conference Incorporated, this 15th day of June in the year of our Lord 2020. Respectfully submitted, Dr. Iva Carruthers, General Secretary, Dr. Jeremiah Wright Jr., co-founder of SDPC, Reverend Dr. Frederick D. Hayes III, and Dr. Tyra A. Martini, co-chairperson, and the Board of Trustees for SDPC, and the staff of the SDPC. Betty Shabazz International Charter Schools community offers our most sincere condolences to the family of Dr. Conrad Worrill. Dr. Worrill made his transition on June 3rd, 2020. Over the 22-year history of the BSICS, Dr. Worrill was a friend to our institution, actively supporting our school community across critical periods of our work. One of Dr. Worrill's organizing projects was his leadership and input along with the December 12th Movement International Secretariat, organizer of the Durban 400 delegation that participated in the historic United Nations World Conference Against Racism. And it was there in Durban, South Africa, from August 31st through September 2001, that the Durban 400 succeeded in impacting the WCAR to declare slavery and slave trade are a crime against humanity. This was a major international organizing victory for African people. In the African tradition, we understand that there is a continuum of life from the unborn to our times living on top of the earth. To our tradition, to ancestorhood, Dr. Worrill was among the ancestors who welcomed him lovingly because he did good, lived a moral life, loved humanity, and worked for the common good. While we will miss his physical presence, we will never forget his spirit and his commitment for good. His major contributions to the African-centered education movement will forever be embodied in the spirit and work of our school. Let's forward from the Betty Shabazz International Charter Schools. Resolution of respect for Dr. Conrad Walter Worrill from DuSable Museum of American History. Whereas in the providence of God, he has brought to a close the life of Dr. Conrad Worrill, educator, journalist, writer, activist, mentor, talk show host, and longtime supporter of the DuSable Museum of African American History. Be it resolved that we thank his family and friends for sharing with us, if only for a short time, the spirit of Dr. Conrad Walter Worrill. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution will be given to the family and placed in the archives of the DuSable Museum. To the family, we know your loss is deep and your sorrow is great, but we will always be blessed to have an experience in guidance and grace of Dr. Conrad Walter Worrill. We submitted this 15th day of June 2020. Perry L. Erman, President and CEO of DuSable Trinity United Church of Christ, tribute to Dr. Conrad Worrill. In his world famous song, My Tribute, Andre Crouch starts the narrative by asking the question, how can I say thanks for all the things that you've done for me? I use those words in that question to frame my words of tribute to one of the world's greatest scholars, Dr. Conrad Worrill. How can I say thanks for Conrad's integrity and intellect? He refused to let others tell our story. He refused to let those who hate us get away with it with writing lies about us. How do you say thanks? How do I say thanks to Conrad's family for loaning him to us in the academic world, the organizing world, the world of National Black United Front, and the world of Black politics, and in the struggle to free the minds of Africans living in the diaspora? His family made a tremendous sacrifice in seeing to it that Conrad was always on the front lines of every fight that involved Black people, up to and including getting the ideals from Trost straight from on the terms of reparations. Conrad and I both became charter members of the National Association for Reparation Committee. We joined CARICON to make sure that our pleas for reparations became a global plea, which went all the way to the United Nations. Conrad and I stood shoulder to shoulder. How do I say thanks to that? How do I say thanks for Conrad's asking to join and then joining us at the 7 a.m. prayer call for the Samuel DeWitt Proctor Conference as we hold our prayer pandemic against this 2020 pandemic. We were fighting against the virus of raging corona and the violence of racial cops, and Conrad was fighting with us. In the tradition of the diaspora, Africans who are conscious, I say Ashe, which is now how Brazilians and practitioners would say thank you. To Conrad and to God, I choose and chose my tribute. However, with Minister Andre Crouch's word, in answering his own question, Minister Crouch said, and in the words of Smokey Robinson, I second that emotion. Signed by Dr. Reverend Jeremiah Wright, Pastor Emeritus for Trinity United Church. As we all know, the doctor has a lot of friends, so please bear with me. I will read excerpts from some of them. Again, these Conrad meant a lot of people, meant to a lot of people. So just give me another brief moment to share some of my thoughts. Institute of Positive Education, resolution for the life of Dr. Conrad Worrill. Says to the family of Dr. Worrill, please know that we are here with you today in celebration of your beloved husband, brother, father, and grandfather. Therefore, we resolve that we, the brothers and sisters of the Institute of Positive Education and the Betty Shabazz International Charter School embrace the family and are here to support you in your time of sorrow. Humbly submitted on this 15th day of June 2020, on behalf of the Institute of Positive Education and the Betty Shabazz International School, Kima Mahmoudi and Dr. Safisha Mahmoudi. The ROD Institute. Professor of History and longtime activist Dr. Worrill's death is a national loss and international loss. Most Chicago scholars knew him personally or were influenced by his leadership, said Beverly Ross, Norman, a retired instructional specialist, Department of Psychology and Special Education in Chicago Public Schools, founder of the Rod Institute, arts curator, and retired communications chair, United Methodist of South Shore. He helped Harold Washington get elected, helped Nelson Mandela, Jacob Carruthers, Anderson Thompson, and all the religious leaders and artists too. I wanted to see him live to see Americans get reparations. That is his most important contribution. I believe that is what we must attain now this year. And that she says that Conrad was an excellent athlete, ran track, played basketball for Hyde Park, and we've heard baseball and elsewhere. He also diligently to establish an indoor, he worked diligently to establish an indoor facility for student athletes on the south side of Chicago. He is the emeritus chairman of the Northeastern University's Dr. Jacob H. Carruthers Center for Inner City Studies, chairman of the National Black United Fund, commissioner of the National Association of Reparations. His influence was national and international, impacting across racial and age groups and focused on determination and justice for African Americans. He is a longtime columnist for the Crusader newspaper of Chicago. And we talked about just how prolific he was in writing. He told me he knows that he wrote more than 2,000 articles through his career on various topics that were important to our community. Senate resolution. Whereas the members of the Illinois Senate are saddened to learn the death of Dr. Walter Conrad Worrill, a doctor who passed away on June 3rd, 2020. This is many of the same whereases, so I'm going to skip to the back. It said, be it resolved by the Senate of the 101st General Assembly of the State of Illinois that we mourn the passing of Dr. Conrad Worrill and extend our sincere condolences to his family, friends, and all who knew and loved him. And be it further resolved that a suitable copy of this resolution be presented to the family of Dr. Worrill as an expression of our deepest sympathy, signed by State Senator L.G. Sims and Senate President Don Harmon. House of Representatives and Congress of the United States, to the family of Dr. Conrad Worrill, I am aware of no words of condolence can ease the hurt and loss that you are now experiencing. However, I want you to know that my heartfelt prayers and condolences go out to you on the loss of your beloved Conrad. I hope that the fond memories you shared with him will give you inspiration for the future. On behalf of my wife, Paulette, and myself, and all of those I serve in the 1st Congressional District of Illinois, we extend our prayers to you. Sincerely, Bobby L. Rush, Member of Congress for the 1st Congressional District. The City Council resolution honoring the life of Dr. Conrad Walter Worrill. Whereas the Almighty God in his infinite wisdom and judgment has called Dr. Worrill an outstanding citizen of the 8th Ward of the City of Chicago to his everlasting reward on June 3rd, 2020. And whereas this Chicago City Council body has been informed of his passing by the Honorable Michelle A. Harris, Alderman of the 8th Ward, be it resolved that we, the mayor and the members of the City Council of the City of Chicago, do express our deep sorrow in the passing of Dr. Conrad Walter Worrill and extend to his family our sincere condolences. And be it further resolved that a copy of this will be prepared and presented to the family of Dr. Worrill, signed by Michelle Harris, Alderman 8th Ward. Congressional record proceedings of the 116th Congress, House of Representatives from the office of Representative Robin L. Kelly. I rise today to honor the life and legacy of Dr. Walter Worrill. Dr. Conrad Worrill, born in Pasadena, California, August 15, 1941, moved to Chicago at the age of 9 years old. And it has another similar listing of many things that our doctor has done, our friend. And it ends with, whereas Dr. Wills was avid football fans, baseball fans, sports fan, chronicling the historical and evolutionary role of Black people in the development of basketball while working with friends of track and field to revitalize track and field in Chicago public schools, a great testament of our community. Whereas Dr. Worrill's greatest legacy is his family, Arlena Worrill and daughters, females games, Selena Worrill, Michelle Worrill, and Kimberly Aisha, Aisha. Now therefore to be resolved by the House of Representatives of the United States of America that we lift the legacy of Dr. Conrad Worrill who passed away on June 3rd, 2020, and be remembered and honored. Robin Kelly, 2nd Congressional District. Resolution from the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. Whereas Dr. Worrill was a civil rights activist, educator, organizer, scholar, writer, talk show host, and advocated for African independence for more than 50 years. Dr. Worrill devoted himself to advocating for the rights of people of African descent living throughout the world. And whereas Dr. Worrill was extended family, and we truly miss him, and that he gave us, and that therefore it be finally resolved that we, the Board Commissioners of Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago, on behalf of ourselves and staff, do hereby honor the life and legacy of Dr. Conrad Worrill, and be it further resolved that a resolution be spread upon the permanent records of proceedings of the Board of Commissioners to the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Chicago. Whereas the members of the chamber are deeply saddened to learn of the deaths of Conrad Worrill, an African-American writer, educator, and political activist on June 3rd, 2020, at the age of 78. And whereas Dr. Worrill graduated from George Williams College with a bachelor's degree in 1968, in which he became active in the Black Power movement, and whereas beginning in the year of 1971, started studying and teaching about interactions between institutions and power, earning a Master's of Arts in Social Service Administration from the University of Chicago and a PhD in Curriculum and Instruction from the University of Wisconsin-Madison in 1973. Be it resolved that we, the Mayor and the City Council of the United States of Chicago, assembled this 17th day of June, 2020, do hereby honor the life and the memory of Dr. Worrill, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be presented to the family of Dr. Worrill as a token of our honor, gratitude, and utmost respect. Thank you. Words of comfort are from the Morgan Park High School. May God be the glory. This will be prayerfully submitted on the 15th day of June 2020 by order of Morgan Park High School, 1744 West Pryor, Chicago, Illinois. To God be the glory. This is from the AGB, African Ancestral Society of Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, and Kentucky. Resolution of respect for and loving memory of Dr. Conrad Worrill. This was submitted on the 15th day of June 2020 from the chiefs of the said organization, humbly submitted ahead of the individuals from that organization. In remembrance of Dr. Conrad Worrill, National Black United Front, we will endure for the night, but joy cometh in the morning. This was submitted by the Shelter Prison Ministry on the 14th day of June 2020. Presented to the family. Oak Oakdale Covenant Church, words of comfort for the family of Dr. Conrad Worrill, prayerfully submitted by the Oakdale Covenant Church, Reverend Dr. Darrell Griffin, Senior Pastor, Sister Diane Smith, Church Board Chairperson. Resolution of honor and respect for Dr. Conrad Worrill, submitted by the Board of Directors for the President Emeritus of Dr. Vivian R. Jones, President CEO, Pastor Victoria C. Brady, and Annie B. Jones, the ABJ Community Services, this 15th day of June, the year 2020, year of our Lord. Resolution by the 4x4 Community Improvement Association, submitted on June 6th. May God continue to bless you, from the Community Board of Directors, signed by Theodore R. Floyd, the President. Submitted by Ernest Millhouse, who was a childhood mentor. Ernest Millhouse sends his condolences and love to the family. Resolution from the Pasadena family, love and loving memory of their cousin, Conrad W. Worrill. Conrad was born on the 14th, August 15th, 1941 in Pasadena. Parts of the family are here. Thank you for coming in, for being here with your loved one. So this says that it therefore be resolved and wish you peace, comfort, happiness, and love to Conrad's friends and family, to which we are a part. Cousins Joan Banks, Greta Banks, Noah Williams, Joel Williams, who admired and loved our cousin Conrad, who talked and walked the walk with tears of triumph and hope for our community. From the Tesca family, Tesca family, cousins of Dr. Ashay and Kathy Tesca, cousin Kasansha Ashay, and we move from the determination to educate, instigate, and transform us to free the African mind, to independence and cherish Conrad's love and family. From the Detroit chapter of the National Black United Front, they sing this in recognition for his life and his service. Proclamation from the state of Illinois Executive Branch, presented on the 12th of June 2020, whereas Dr. Conrad Worrill was one of our best known political activists and a champion of the Black struggle, died on June 3rd, 2020 at the age of 28. It is therefore resolved by the governor, J.B. Pritzker of the United States, do hereby ask the residents to join him in honoring this great civil rights leader, educator, and activist. On behalf of the entire Worrill family, we will come to an end. Excuse me. We have not come to the end. Sorry, Brother Cam. Give me one more. Whereas the providence of the Creator who has brought to a better close in life of Dr. Conrad Worrill, the board members of the National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America, and COBRA, in Washington, D.C., Alabama, California, Indiana, Illinois, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, New Hampshire, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Texas, Virginia, and Wisconsin, extend our heartfelt condolences to the family and community of Dr. Conrad Worrill, a true revolutionary and a champion for the people. Be it resolved that we bow in humble submission to the Creator, who never makes a mistake, and reminds us that we must go the way of Brother Conrad. May his entire family be encouraged by the positive gifts and memories he leaves behind that will provide comfort. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Signed by Cam Howard, National Medical Chair of NCOBRA, and I'm sorry, Cam. Washington, Chike Shawasa, National Female Co-Chair for the Cobra. So again, on behalf of the family, the entire Worrill family, we sincerely appreciate this outpouring of love in the midst of deep sorrow. Your kind words and your kind gestures have not gone unnoticed. We appreciate all of the expressions of love, including cards, floral arrangements, meals, financial contributions, social media posts, media publications, and the countless public and private conversations that honor the life of the legacy of our husband, father, grandfather, and brother. Please continue to whisper the Worrill family name to the Creator in the days and months to come. Thank you.
I'm very blessed and honored to give the closing remarks. And the good thing about it is I'm a preacher. And usually a preacher takes a long time. But I'm a surprise today. See, at a homegoing service, preacher takes a long time depending upon who the person was. Because you have to argue that they need to get to heaven. And I'm the last one to argue the case. When it comes to Conrad, and when you heard Brother Donnie Charter and the family, this is going to be the shortest moments of my message to our beloved people on behalf of our beloved Worrill. There's a passage of scripture in Ecclesiastes. It talks about the 9th chapter. Read it tonight, and every time you want to think about Dr. Worrill, read that piece. And it ultimately means that life is one event. There are no replays and no reruns. Because God has a plan. I know a lot of you all have phones, and you are on particular plans, AT&T and Verizon, T-Mobile, Mobile Works. Everybody got a plan, but God got a plan. And sometimes we forget because we don't know how to use our life, work our life, build in our life. As a result, we run out of minutes. And when we run out of minutes, it's lots of times because we didn't do much. We had a lot of rap and no rap. The good thing about Dr. Worrill, it's embedded in these particular words of wisdom from my desk. I'm the only man that Martin Luther King Jr. ordained that was in his organization. I'm the only one that Coretta King gave a Martin Luther King watch to. So this comes from my desk that Dr. Conrad Worrill was born August 15th, 1941, and he left us on a direct flight, all expenses paid, June 3rd, 2020. He gave us 78 years. He gave us 945 months. He gave us 4,111 weeks, 28,782 days, 690,768 hours, 41,446,080 minutes, and 2,486,764,800 seconds. So we have a lot of time to get access to him and say everything we want to say about him. I want to make a simple announcement. I'm going to give, because he's had an impact on my church. I'm so glad that Senator Donnie Trotter is here, because there was a brother named Corey Pugh who came out of my church. And we made it possible for Corey to come over here to the Center for Inner City Studies. And he received his degree, and then he went on to seminary. He went on to become a state legislator. A sister named Reverend Essie Clark came out of Itta, Mississippi. Came to our church, wanted to get credentialized. I called Conrad, and Conrad made it possible. So today, I want to give $1,000 scholarship. Every year, I'm going to our church, I'm going to give $1,000 scholarship to any student that the Worrill family wants to go to college, either here, preferably because of the history of this particular Center for Inner City Studies, or one of their choice. Now, you know, it's a miracle when a preacher gives him money. But Conrad had that kind of impact on all of our lives. The sign down there says, we don't know where you might not know where you're going, but we know where you should be going. He was my friend, my buddy, and he was dedicated to making sure that our people can come out of nothing and make themselves out of something. And the genius of it is, we're at the moment in history where it's hard for a lot of young people who've been in prison, veterans. It's hard for them to go to college. And I'm dedicating this. So every year, I'm glad this is being recorded, because I want you to document every year. Our church, I got a new church now. The United Methodists came to me and told me they were going to tear my church down, Donnie, unless I bought it. So I ended up buying the church. It's no longer Fernwood United Methodist Church. It's Fernwood Community Outreach Church. And out of that, I'm going to, every year, whether you want it in August or you want it in June, I'm donating out of our church $1,000 for whoever you say as the Worrill family for a scholarship. Say I'm going to give it and put it back in my pocket. So let me close out saying it one more time. We got a little time here on the earth. We don't know when our flight is going to depart. But this man gave us 78 years, 945 months, 4,111 weeks, 28,782 days, 690,760 hours, 41,446,080 minutes. And listen to this. He gave us 2,486,764,800 seconds. Dr. Benjamin Mays, former president of the Morehouse College, said it another way. I've only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it, forced upon me, can't refuse it, didn't seek it, didn't choose it, but it's up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it, give an account if I abuse it. Just a tiny little minute, but eternity is in it. Celebrate the minutes under the plan of God, y'all. And thank you and you and you for your minutes with Conrad under the plan of God. Don't you, please, don't you run out of minutes running away from God. Somebody say amen. Amen. Let us stand for the benediction. I told you it was going to be short. It's only when a man has lived a rough life, a bad life, that he can spend a long time. I want to say God bless the Reverend Case, who's here on behalf of Attorney Tom Todd. That's the major picture with Conrad, Tom Todd, and Dr. Henry Harper. May we bow our heads. Thank you, God, for the beauty of this day. Thank you for the testimony of this brother's life. Thank you, God, for Oscar Worrill, his beloved brother. Now becomes the only black male left on the daddy side. Thank you for the beauty of the family, the First Lady, the children. May, oh God, from this day forward, we remember the legacy, the history, and join all of the different organizations of liberation. This man put a signature for eternal institutionalization. Don't let none of these organizations fail. Last but not least, my prayer is that brothers and sisters who know him and knew him, that they would contribute to the scholarship fund, the Dr. Conrad Worrill Scholarship Fund, so that the least of these, the forgotten, will be remembered because they go to college and tell the story about a man named Dr. Conrad Worrill, one of the most brilliant minds in the history of our people. In the name of the God of our ancestors, we pray. Amen. For the family and friends, you can make the exit out that way. I would recommend